This is the main part of the lesson which I wanted to focus on. This is where we are solving with two-step equations. Okay, so there's two steps that we have to do here. Now I want you guys to read this question, and then I will go through the example. So I'll give you a few seconds to just read the question. Okay, so what we should have read was that on one side, so namely the left side of the scale, it's telling us 2x plus 5, and the other side there's 21 marbles in there specifically. Okay, and if you think about it, really without the scale, it's an equation which says to us 2x plus 5 equals 21, because the weight of them is equal. Okay, now the first thing we do is we identify the whether there's a plus 5 or minus 4, or we identify what we're adding and subtracting. Okay, now we know that it's plus 5, so the opposite of plus 5 is to subtract 5. So what we will do to start off with is we'll take away 5, and if you notice, if you look on the scale, those 5 marbles are being taken away. Now in order to balance it, we will also take away 5 from the other side. So we've taken away 5, so now the scale are still weighing the same. Okay, if we didn't take away this 5 here, then it wouldn't weigh the same anymore. The 21 would be more, and therefore the equation is not balanced. So we had to take away 5 from there. Okay, so what are we left with? What are we actually left with? If you look on the two scales, we should be left with just 2 bags, and each of those bags is x, so therefore we're left with 2x. And on the other side, we're left with 16, because there's 6. Once you do 21, take away the 5 marbles, we should have 16 marbles left. So we can say 2x equals 16. Now, similar to the last task where we just did, we know what to do now, but I'm going to explain, as this is my example to explain to you. So we know that 2x equals 16. And how many x's are there? There's 2 x's, so we must now divide by 2. But hold on, if I divide by 2, look, I've just got rid of that bag on the scale. It's not balanced anymore. How will I balance it? I need to half or divide the 16 by 2 as well. Okay, and once I do that, I should be left with how many marbles there? 16 divided by 2, but if you count the marbles there as well, there are 8 marbles left. Therefore, one bag is equal to 8 marbles, or x in this case equals 8. Okay, so that was just visual example. Okay, so similar to the last slide, except without the illustrations or the weighing scale. If you have a look at these two questions, first things first, we need to identify from the question 5x plus 6 equals 21. We need to identify what are we adding or subtracting in this question. So clearly you can see we're adding 6, so we are going to do the opposite of that, which is to subtract 6. And to balance it out, we are going to take away 6 from 21. What will we be left with? It will be 5x equals 15. Okay, now in order to work out what x is, we identify what is the number that is in front of the x. The number is clearly 5, so we now must divide by 5. Okay, but to balance it out, I'm going to do the same with the other side, and I'm left with x equals 3. And that would be my final answer. I want you guys to pause the video, have a go at this question here, and then we'll come back together shortly with the answer. So pause the video now, have a go. Okay, so we should have answered the question, and it should be in the format that I have answered the question above. So we would have started off by adding 7 to each side. We would have been left with 4x equals 12, and now we just divide both sides by 4, and we would have ended up with x equals 3. Okay, now imagine, just to be on the safe side, if you wanted to check that your answer was correct, you could simply just substitute in. So you could say, okay, my x equals